I wake up every single day. I am who I say I am. And I get what I get because I live in beast mode. Stop being gazelles. You're not average. You're not even good. You were born to be great.
We keep it burning.
What's going on, world? Welcome to another edition of the Secret to Success podcast. I'm your host, CJ, joined as always by the Bayesian sensation, Mr. Karl Phillips.
What's happening?
Dougie Fresh, E.T., the hip-hop preacher. E, what's going on?
I just want to change my name to the Bayesian sensation. Like, it's simple, you know what I'm saying? And you say the same thing every time when you say Karl's name. Mine switch up from week to week.
Well, you have many different aliases. A man of your stature must go by
just like
several
the
different
simplicity.
things.
Bayesian
No.
sensation.
No simplicity for you,
You got
my
too
friend.
many roles to fill.
Too many. You know what I'm saying? I don't know whether you're the pastor, the speaker, the CEO, the entrepreneur. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, it's
And
just
we,
it's just me
are
and
joined
Rihanna out
by-
here. See,
We're joined today by the fourth member of the podcast. You know, we are only so blessed to receive his presence every now and then. He's got so much going
Stroking
on.
checks.
You know,
Stroking checks.
He tells us when he has time to jump on, man. But Mr. Josh Hatch, a.k.a. the 6'8 Assassin, a.k.a. Kevin Love, joins us on the
Hey, I got a
podcast.
couple
back.
names
He
too
has
there,
a
my
better
friend.
back and knees and probably a better jump shot than me. So
Well, it's debatable. It's debatable. You know what I'm saying? The people never seen your jump shot, so we're not sure. Hey, appreciate y'all joining us, man, on the podcast. Man, we actually are doing this at like regular human hours, so it's a little different feel. It's not 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
I feel terrible.
No.
like we
They
letting
get it
the
at the
fans
same
down.
time regardless, so I think they straight. I want to jump into something, and it's going to lead the topic of the day. And we kind of talked about it a couple weeks ago, but am I tripping or has your boy gone too far? And by your boy, I'm referring to Mr. LaVar Ball. Now, for those of you who don't know who LaVar Ball is, he's got a son, plays for UCLA, Lonzo Ball, and he's pretty good. He's going to go top 5 in the draft. He's got 2 other sons that are in high school, and they're both coming to UCLA as well. Now, me and Josh kind of talked about it. Me and he talked about it. Karl, we talked about it on the podcast for a quick second. And I love this man's energy as it relates to being a father, right? You pump your kids up. I didn't even have a problem when he said his son was better than Steph Curry. I was like, maybe he's trying to, you know what I'm saying, instill some confidence in his son. And that's what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about confidence. And so maybe he's trying to instill some confidence in his son. Like, hey, I believe in you. You're the best in the world, whatever. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Then he said the other day that he was going to do a 3-way package deal for all his sons and Nike or whoever the highest bidder was, and he wants $1 billion. Which, again, I said, okay, I can understand that. Why not? You got 3 sons, all of them ball.
Absolutely.
But then my friend, Mr. Ball,
It's 33
Yeah,
and
well, hey,
1/3
I'm not
million
mad
for
at
each
it.
one of them.
but then my friend, Mr. Ball, took it one step further with like just jumped all the way off the cliff the other day when he said that in his prime, he would have smoked Michael Jordan in one-on-one. So now you done crossed the line to like being delusional. You know what I'm saying? So I saw that and I was like, okay, now everything you said prior to now is just a joke. And you done took it too far. So I don't know if y'all got a chance to see that. Am I tripping or has the man lost his mind?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I will say this. In our guru's own mouth, he said, don't
let facts get in the
mess
way
up
of a good story. for sure.
So my man is having the time of his life. He is probably getting way more TV time than he's ever had in his life. He's probably having a very, productive and good time in this run. And so when you start, coming up with stuff, you shoot 10 free throws, you bound to miss one.
Oh,
see?
no,
But my
no
man
doubt.
having
But
a
I'm
good
saying
time
at this
in the
point,
process.
is it kind of like backfiring because where it looked like before you were a champion of your sons and you were kind of just pubbing them up and instilling confidence, and now you kind of making it about
I'm
yourself?
saying I don't know if he went that deep. I didn't see it. Well, did you see it, Karl?
I didn't see it either, but I'm saying, all publicity is good publicity. My man's staying in the limelight, so I'm with it. Like, your sons will always be recognized, at least for this season, everybody talking about him, you know what I'm saying? Like there's gonna be hype around them. So you creating their draft stock, you creating their value. Like you're creating. I mean, obviously their game is speaking for itself. But now with that, you add in some tangible thing, not tangible, sorry. But you add in some stuff, some hype around it that will get more attention to it that could, potentially increase the value of it.
See,
So
I have a little bit different take. So I think what they're doing as a family is the American dream, and he has the right to go after the $1 billion shoe deal and everything else. They've worked hard for that. He is borderline getting to the point where it's becoming a sideshow. I believe that's where the danger could come in. But to E's point, he's having the time of his life. Now, I think he's butting against where his 5 minutes of fame is about to run out, and he needs to be careful how he goes out with it. But his boys can play.
Yeah, and I think it's no question his boys can play. I'm just pissed because you played for Washington State and averaged 2.2 points a game, and then you went overseas and sat the bench for a couple of years, and you say you could beat Mike one-on-one. Okay, the inability to self-assess.
Absolutely, but I will say this, though, I will say this, and I definitely, you know how I feel about Magic and the fact that even in some of these discussions, they put Magic all the way down. I'm like, you know how I feel about that. But I will say this. It would, to me, Josh, I almost think that it has been better that he waited to give us this preposterous story about he's better than Magic at the end.
Mike,
So
not
we will
Magic.
say
Mike.
I mean, he said it was better than Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Oh, he about to switch now. It's entertainment, man.
Ears couldn't even hear that. Ears couldn't.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, I'm sorry. So hey, Josh, I'm gonna change everything I just said, but let me say this real quick. Yeah, I thought you said he said it was better than Magic.
No, bro.
Which I was like, But then you said Mike, unbelievable.
My man entertaining us.
Oh,
Yeah,
now
he
E like
entertaining.
I'm done with it.
Yeah.
Now E like
Bruh.
I'm done with it.
Hey, I mean, done. Put a fork in him. I'm done. But I will say this, Josh. If it's going to be a sideshow, I am at least grateful that he began, really putting his sons in the proper perspective, really challenging the way people think about sports, because I think that's what he's done. I'm just going to be honest. Let me tell you what he said the other day that I thought still borderline, Josh, but we have to understand that what we look at borderline today, 10 years from now, we might be saying genius, right? But the one thing that I did like what he said that was controversial, right? But he said, where was these other fathers when you were talking about some of the other greats, And he said that the reality is this is really some of the, first looks we're getting at where young men on this level have their fathers present, right? Speaks volumes. And maybe I'm a little biased, because of my experience, but having their dad there, somebody to protect them. I'm looking at New Edition and the New Edition story. And what do you see in the room? In the New Edition, you see nothing but mothers. And you see these boys getting taken advantage of. So I like the fact that, one, you've got a dad here who's saying that, look, you're going to have to deal with my sons, in a way that's going to be mutual. They're not going to be taken advantage of. You've got a father who is speaking, not just present. He's going from one city to another city. He's catching all the games, and then he's pubbing his sons up. So, man, I think that there's way more good, than bad. And I think I feel this way because I didn't hear the MJ. I didn't hear it come out of his mouth. I'm going to have to go back and watch that myself. But no, overall, man, I really do think, and he said something else. Somebody says, don't you think you're taking over your son's lives? He said, listen to me very closely. And my son is 21. He's probably, close in the age of his son. He said, Josh, when my son, I put in all this work. I raised this kid. I fed this kid. I went to work to take care of this kid. I practiced and trained with this kid. Again, I went to work for this kid. This is what I've done for these boys. So the day they want to make their own decisions is the day they take care of themselves. And I'm telling you, I know I'm biased, but my boy 21, I'm so feeling that, Josh, that all the sacrifices I made, I have the right to get involved. Like, I have the right to be in the mix.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the day,
No.
and the day they feel like, hey, Dad, you've done your thing. We ready to go on our own. Man, we welcome our children growing up, and flying out, the nest and doing their thing. But yeah, man, I just saw the story. I just started following him. Actually, I know you like what rock you been under, E. I just started following him maybe in the last 3 or 4 days, looking at the stories, reading some of the backstories. And I'll be honest, as a father, man, I felt proud. Like, not that I wish he was my father, nothing like that, but I wish my biological father, had been there for me, like these dudes, like, these 3 young men father was, for them, bro. And so, yeah, I'm sorry, but that's just my little take.
No, and I think, of course, well, first of all, far be it from me. We've heard my parenting failures over the last few weeks. To critique anybody's fathering skills, as many blunders as I've had, but I do want to talk about that because you think about it, and I see it exactly what you're saying, but then you wonder, do you put too much pressure on your kids? Do you not put enough? Whatever. And I know, Josh, you're kind of dealing with that now with Hudson. Of course, you guys heard us say before, Hudson is 7, 8 years old now. And he is obviously a golf prodigy phenom, and he's ranked in the world for his age division and playing against kids from literally all over the world, Josh. And I'm just wondering how you balance that, in terms of being there, being supportive, cheering them on and giving them that confidence, but then not putting too much pressure on them. Like you didn't say I never heard you say he was better than Tiger. You know what I mean? Like, so how do you find that balance for you, when you're dealing with your kids? Because, I think for Karl and I, it's good information, right? We both have, 3 and 4 year olds. And so we're in that mode now where they're just starting to understand things like confidence. You know what I mean? And like, certain things like Trey's not allowed to say it can't in the house. Like, I can't open this. I can't do this. I can't do that. I say, no, you need help doing it. Don't say you can't. And just trying to, reinforce some of those confidence factors. But then you look at LaVar Ball, who maybe even takes it to the extreme. And then sometimes you can kind of see that backfire in kids whose parents are too overbearing, the helicopter parents who at every game and they're at the soccer game yelling at their kids and going too hard. And so I wonder, Josh, for you, because, Huddy is older than, Jordan and Trey, how are you handling that, instilling that confidence, but at the same time letting them be a kid and still mature and grow? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for us, we have this conversation, Heather and I, as a couple, every week with our kids. How do we make them? Because our mark on our kids will actually be not what they do athletically. It'll be when we pass away and our kids outlive us. Will they be good, productive citizens, and will they contribute? And so it goes way past the sports. From a sports standpoint, I grew up in a situation like E. I didn't have a father. This is my first run of this. I wish I had what Hudson has. I look at Hudson and go, I wish I had a dad that could have molded me and guided me and spent some time with me and enjoyed spending time with me. Golf is a different game because I can actually get out there and play the game side by side with him. So we have a lot of fun. What we do is we celebrate the good times, but we celebrate the bad times. I'm equally as proud of him in these tournaments and how he plays, as long as he tries. And look, he's 8 years old. Trying sometimes can mean just being focused. We're not talking about trying as, he's 8 years old. There's going to be days where he's just not focused. But what I don't want to do is have any expectations on an 8-year-old that it could burn him out by 10 years old, or that the game of golf isn't fun. He's always loved sports. And see, him. It's a basketball, a football, golf. He loves all sports. And his favorite sport is the one that's on TV at the time. And he loves all sports. What I try to do is challenge him in the right ways to find the right combo to push and pull him, but really just to build his confidence and let him know that he is a special kid. And I don't mean a special kid just athletically. He's a special kid. And I think all kids are special. So it's trying to bring out what God gave him, his nature. And then my job as a parent is to nurture that. So I can't make him swing a golf club the way he does. That was a God-given gift. And we'll see where he goes with it. He could decide to play Legos next week. But he was born with what God gave him, and that is his nature. And Heather and I believe it is our job to nurture our children's gift, whether that's Bear or Huds, all the way through, and support them as long as they are interested and are having fun.
Yeah, Ian, your kids are older. I mean, talk to us, I guess, because our kids are younger. What are some things, give me a couple of things that you wish you would have done differently, E, as it relates to instilling confidence in your kids? You know what I mean? Like and not to say you don't have confident kids, you obviously do. But like, what are some things, if you say, shoot, man, if I could go back to when Jalen was, Trey in Jordan's age, and, I wish I would have, you know what I mean? Give us a couple things.
I think the first thing I wish I would have done, is not assume that they were young, they were too young to understand. I think I made some decisions for them that I would still make for them, but I don't think I would have made it without discussing it with them. And trust me, I'm definitely not on no psychology, theory, timeout stuff. Napoleon Hill said this years and years ago, and I hope we can find the quote, but he talked about the fact that if you make life easy for your children when they're, young, then in essence, what you're really doing is making it difficult for them as adults. So if you save them every time, they need to be saved. And I told a story. I don't even know if I told you. I mean, I know I talked about Trey. For those of you who don't know, C's son, who's my godson. I had the opportunity, and I never get the opportunity to really, watch him like that. But at the conference, I got a chance to watch him. And, C was up and making his moves, and I know I talked about it in general when I was on the mic, but I didn't get specific. And what I said, there was a point where when you first left, like Trey was just like, I wouldn't say hysterical, but he started crying. And as soon as he started crying, of course, I was on the right side and there was a space. And on the left side, what most people don't know, was his mom, but she had Avery. So, of course, she jumped up, to come over. And I just, did my little hand like, Candace, he going to be good. Yeah, he going to be good. Somewhere. Don't worry about it. He crying. He going to be all right. I got this. And I just told Trey, like, stand up, look ahead. Who do you see? He was like, Daddy. I was like, he right there, son. He ain't going nowhere. He right there, and you can see him, and he sat down and was cool. And what Napoleon Hill said was that, for real, if we make every time they cry, if we run to them, when they get older and they cry, we're not going to be able to save them. So what we have to do is not pretend like they ain't crying, but we have to give them the tools when they're young to be able to create solutions for the problems that they have. And so what I should have done better is say, hey, kids, here's what I'm going to do for you because I think this is going to set you up for your future. But because it's your future, why don't you participate in it? And I felt like in some instances, I did 100% of the work as if it was my life and I was going to lead that life, and as they're getting older, I'm realizing like, yo, E, for real, back up, and discuss. It was funny. I was talking to Didi about Jada today and I was like, yo, Didi, it's something she did, when she came back from the trip that I still felt like she's not really getting 100% this respect thing, and this is why I went off 2 weeks ago. And it looks like nothing has changed other than you don't want me to go off, and Didi was like, did you talk to her about it? And I was like, somewhat. She's like, well, you seem to be articulating very well to me about it. Call her and talk to her about it. Go pick her up and take her to lunch and sit down over lunch and just explain to her, this is how I feel. And if things don't change, this is how it's going to shape our relationship. So for real, man, I just think that's the biggest thing, I did wrong. And I will say this as well. And again, I come from that parenting style, where for real, you were disciplined, we did take the old fashioned belt. And I think there were a couple times that I was so concerned about, and not a lot, I'm not going to sit here and lie, but I will say maybe 25, 30% because of my upbringing, and not having my biological father in my life, I was a little bit concerned about the relationship. Now, C know me, so he might be like, yeah, that's a shock. He know I'm not, totally into it. But there were a few times where I may not have given them the consequences of their actions because I didn't want them to think I was a mean person. And when I look back, especially at my daughter, because I didn't really discipline her a whole lot, my wife said to me today, she said, you look at how Jalen treats you and look at how Jada treats you. She's like, for real, your son, you dealt by law with him, by principle, and he respects you to the utmost. Your daughter doesn't always respect you like that because you did let her get away with murder, when she was younger. So she's only responding to you, whatever. So that's another thing I wish I would have done better. See, I'm not necessarily.
So do you think it was because she was the second child or because she was a girl?
She was a
trying
girl.
to find, not that I need it for any specific reason. You know what I'm saying,
Right.
Karl?
I'm
like,
right
the
with
shoe
you.
on the
Which one?
exact same. I'm like, hold on, let's get this Jada thing
I
taken
do
care
see,
of
I
real
think
quick.
she was a female, and I think I felt like to some extent I was more equipped, at least I thought, mentally and emotionally, to deal with a male because I knew how they were. I felt like I know how men are wired. I know if I spank my son, but I show the love, what I'm saying, he's going, whatever. But with my daughter, I wasn't 100% sure, okay, what do you do? Because I don't want to necessarily, do the belt thing with her or, fuss at her and, be in her face like I was with Jalen. And so I'm not going to lie, see, it was touch and go. I didn't know what to do, and I probably should have sought counsel and not necessarily because I didn't know. I feel like I retreated. See if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that I didn't know and I went and got help or I sought advice. It was kind of like, yo, I don't know what to do, so I don't do nothing. But as she got older, as a teenager, and then as she got closer to going to college, I think her junior year in high school, I started to have some challenges that a lot of parents would say you're going to have anyway. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But I do know that for real, Jalen and I have a very, mature, let's talk it out. And because I retreated with Jada, I find that when we have conflict, see, that's what we do. We do what we did when she was young. We kind of retreat. And so I would just say to parents, for real, if you have a challenge, get help, go seek counseling, read a book, go see a movie, whatever, get in a support group. But the one crazy thing about parenting, it goes quick and you don't get a do-over, see?
Yeah, and here's the thing, and here's why I'm making this point, and we can kind of make a shift now to adults, but somebody came up to me at the conference after the VIP, which, man, shout out to everybody who came out to the Stay Ready conference. By far and away the best conference we have ever had in our lives. It was incredible. Just the energy in the room, the
I was
music.
gonna say, you gotta say the E word.
Yeah,
energy.
I mean, it was phenomenal, E. But right after you left, I know you had to leave like quick, but then, I stayed around and talked to people, and this guy was like, hey, I've been an entrepreneur for quite some time, and I feel like I'm struggling, I'm hitting the glass ceiling, going to that next level, not because I don't know what to do. He was like, I'm just not confident that it's gonna work. And even though I've built this company and I'm making six figures, he was like, for whatever reason, I just don't feel confident in my ability to get it done. And I was like, wow, this is a grown dude, like nice looking dude, like in shape, looked like he was like late 30s, early 40s. And I'm like, wow, that confidence thing is so big. And it hit me, because I was looking at my son and I'm like, yo, sometimes you see people who not confident at 5 years old,
Right.
and they're still not confident at like
Right.
40. You know what I mean? So it's not like, it's not like you just, I mean, we all know childhood friends and people we grew up with who were kind of like unsure of themselves at like 5 or 6. And then boom, at, 35, they still unsure of themselves. And I'm like, yo, I really want to make sure for my kids that I'm instilling that confidence. And so for E, I guess one thing I want to know from you, for those people out there, who are struggling with confidence. And listen to me, if you're listening to the podcast, you're like, oh, I'm confident. Like, no. Really think about, yo, are you confident in your marriage, in your business, in your health, like all of those things? Like, do you have that utmost confidence? And E, you're one of the most confident people I know when you're operating in your gift and when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So for somebody who, like the gentleman that came up to me that was like, oh, I'm just not super confident, like as a person, and it's stopping me from going to that next level. How do you, as an adult, can you make the shift? How do you make the shift? When did you, I guess there's a couple part question. When do you remember, because you obviously, must have been struggling some, when you were homeless and on the streets and all of those things. Do you remember when you felt, was it like a shift when you woke up one day, like all of a sudden I feel super confident, I'm ready to go? Or was it something that was in you and just had to come out? Like, walk us through that. And can somebody who's, let's say, 35 years old, who hasn't been confident their whole life, how do they then find that confidence?
Yeah, I think, see, and again, a lot of people would define confidence, in their own unique way. But what's weird to most, what I'm saying was going to be weird to most people, but for me, see, confidence is, really being free, if that makes sense. It is not focusing on, or having to deal with, all of the insecurities, So E, what are you saying? What I'm saying in essence is, see, I felt when I wasn't confident, it was all of the other stuff, that I was occupied with, the things that I was concentrating on, So now, because I've dealt with those things, see, I'm like free as a bird. And I think that's where the conferences come from. It's not, is it something within? It is, I stopped tripping about the fact that I wasn't necessarily what one would call an academic, intellectual scholar. Like, see, I feel very comfortable in the fact that I can go to the movies and watch a movie and come out with a lot more than a dude who may be considered an Einstein, a dude who may be able to pick up a math book or an English book, and run circles around me. I no longer feel like I have to live up to that standard. That I personally feel, what's the word? I embrace, see, my type of intellect. The fact that I don't forget a face. The fact that I make people feel good. That's emotional intelligence, see? There are people who may be able to be very good passing LSAT or MCAT, they can do that, but they are socially immature. Socially, they suck. I don't have a problem with emotional intelligence. And I think I had to get to a place, see, where I stopped comparing myself and my brilliance with other people's brilliance. There were some things I had to heal from, see. I had to heal from the fact that my biological father wasn't in my life. And I had to see it, as, that God allowed that to happen. Do you understand when I go and speak that I understand people that most people don't understand? I understand what it's like to be a high school dropout. I understand what it takes, to get past, why wasn't my father in my life? I understand, what it means when you feel like, why did my mom not tell me who my real father was? Like, why did my mom keep that? Well, because she was a young person feeling like that's not the best environment, so whatever. So see, I had to take what I once thought was ugly and ashes and despicable and embarrassing, and I had to see, E, this is what shaped your life. It's what made you who you are. And so I think it's just turning stuff around, see. It's not seeing the coal, it's seeing the diamond. You know what I'm saying? It's not looking at pressure in a bad way or heat in a bad way or getting cut in a bad way. It's seeing it as this is the process of a diamond, So I think I'm so confident now because I'm not focused on all the insecurities. My father wasn't in my life. What does that mean about me? Am I ugly? Am I not desirable? Am I not? No, I can't get all A's in school. No, you're not an intellect. But guess what? See, once I realized that I don't have phenomenal skill, I embrace the fact, see, that I got phenomenal will. And it's some stuff that a dude that can get all A's can do that he can't come in my world and survive an abandoned building. He can't eat out of trash cans, see, and still survive and become what I've become. So for me, confidence is turning all that negativity, all of that, what I thought was terrible, and turning that test into a testimony, that mess into a message, turning it into a book. We've created a business from this, man. We've changed other people's lives as a result of this. So for me, that's what confidence is. Giving up all the insecurities, all the junk, all the mess, and allowing the real you to shine and to come forth.
Yeah, no, and I think you're kind of hitting on, the Howard Gardner theory of multiple intelligence. And you're right. We all have a genius within us. And, I love that theory because it basically says there's more than one type of intelligence. And sometimes we get caught up on, book smart or, the ones that, kind of look sexy and forget that there's many different types of geniuses. And I guess Karl and Josh, you can kind of answer this as well. But how much of confidence or lack thereof, especially now with Facebook and Instagram and do you think is like you know, people comparing themselves to like what they see? And it's crazy because when you go online, like the ridiculous thing about being online is like you only see the absolute best of everybody. You know what I mean? Like if somebody posts a picture of, you know, they family and they smile and they got the wife and 2 kids and it's like, oh my God, the perfect, like you just seeing the perfect. And so then you look at your life and go, man, me and my spouse kind of having some challenges. And it almost makes you feel worse about your life. Or if you see, you know, for young ladies, I can't even imagine, you know, God bless E and Josh, who both got daughters who are entering that realm of like body image and stuff like that. And I'm like, yo, y'all looking at, like what you looking at is fake. First of all, and then you comparing yourself to something that's fake. And I can imagine what that does for confidence. So how much do you guys think like the compare and contrast, boy, and not just I'm not talking about 17-year-old girls. I'm talking about a grown man who might be looking at somebody's Facebook and be like, man, him and this girl got it going on financially. They look like they doing their thing. And then it starts to hurt your confidence. And now your losing almost becomes a self-fulfilling
I'm gonna go
prophecy.
like 100% transparency. I moved here from Barbados. Now understand what I'm telling y'all. I moved from a different country, a different culture, a different code. Let me just be point blank, different TV shows. So when I get here and I'm trying to fit into what's going on, I promise you guys, I ain't had no confidence. Now, I knew that I was a smart kid. Don't get me wrong. Like I didn't think I was stupid. I didn't think I was dumb. I had 2 parents. Like I had a decent, you know, upbringing, all that. But when it came to like getting along with people and fitting in, like there's something at the back of my mind, like, yo, I got an accent. You know, yo, I talk a little different from some of these people. And it was real. Like I'm not gonna minimize it. It was real. To this day, I think some of that is how, you know, and this is us internally, why it took me so long, EC, to stop working and become more of a like, yo, let's organize, let's think, let's create. Because the work thing, you can't judge my work on my accent. You know what I'm saying? You can't judge TGIM or that I come from a different country. You can't judge that. So I put all my effort into making sure that stuff was fire so that now you like, it's almost like now they got to look at me on a different playing field now. Like I got something they got to see me as. And I was just reading, literally on the flight to Atlanta, I was reading your book, Gary Keller, The One Thing. And literally, as I'm sitting here, I changed the quote. He had a quote in the book saying that you don't rise to the level of your expectations, you fall to the level of your preparation. But I just changed the end of his quote to say, we don't rise to the level of our expectations. We fall to the level of how much we embrace who we are. And I think that's what he's hitting at. If the more you can embrace who you are, your experience, everything about you, that's when you can be confident. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's who you are. It's all your essence. It's everything you are. Me being able to think how I am is a result of having my dad and my mom. My dad teaching science, my mother teaching elementary school. You know what I'm saying? Me coming from another island, me having, you know what I'm saying, leaving home at 50. Like all of that is who did TGIM, if that makes sense. All of that is who's helping come up with the stuff for BU. All of that is who I am. So I can't operate until I fully accept who that is. Like he said, the homelessness, all of that comes into who you are. Like you cannot be like fully confident until you really understand who you are, your history, everything ties into it, good or bad. And that's why I need people to understand, good or bad, it's all of it that makes you who you are. And you got to be able to use that. Here's the key. You got to be able to use that to operate in your gift. You use that to operate in your gift. They're not separate. You use who you are, your experiences, to operate in your gift. That's why TGM is the way it is. That's why everything that we do is the way it is, because that's why we're such a people-oriented brand. Because none of us we ain't come from super high, big, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it's who you are. When the more you accept that, that's how you could be confident.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's a dangerous time right now when it comes to social media, because not only do people compare to other people, I think even more dangerously, people believe what they put on Instagram or Facebook about themselves.
That's real. Yeah.
And so I think people put a day out there, they put a picture out there, and as long as it gets 100 plus likes, then that day they feel good about themselves. So what happens on the day they get 10 likes? They all of a sudden feel like a failure. I think everyone on this call has seen the movie, and most of the listeners probably have, but there's a scene in American Gangster where Denzel or Frank Lucas is talking to his little brother, or I can't remember, cousin, who shows up in a big fur coat, and he grabs him and says, "Remember, the loudest in the room is the weakest in the room." And it's one of my favorite quotes, because to E's point, E, when he gets in a room, when he gets on stage, he's the loudest, but he's usually the quietest in the room. And people probably don't realize it. E is scanning the room. E is reading people. E is getting in his zone. His emotional intelligence is so high. And, you know, I believe I've been gifted with that. And that's why in a business setting and in certain settings, I can see what's going on. That was my gift. But to get up there and blaze the mic like E does, that's not my gift. Not that I don't like to do it, but my gift is I have a high emotional intelligence. I can read the room. I don't need to be loud. And usually when I meet loud people, I see right through them because of my gift. And one of my gifts is seeing through those loud people. So I believe usually loud people, loud posters, if you're talking social media, those people are tricking themselves, and they're actually setting themselves up for a really hard fall down the road when they don't get the likes they want. And you know, if the likes you get can ruin a day, you've really got to check yourself.
Let me ask you a question, Josh. Your kid's Bear is what, 10 and Huddy's 8? Is it at the 10 and 8 or 11? And I know neither one have a phone yet or anything. You're pretty, you know, conservative with that. Bear doesn't have a cell phone yet, does she? Or does she? Okay, and you said obviously then she doesn't have Instagram or anything like that. At what point do you think, and I'm just curious, like, do you think you'll allow her to, you know, start dabbling in the social media realm?
You know, this is a conversation that is literally a daily conversation right now.
And you know what's crazy? And I don't mean to interrupt you. Hold your thought right there. We were just talking the other day. Like, there's no blueprint for this. Like, I feel sorry. I'm glad. Like, Karl and I are lucky. We get to watch y'all go through it. Somebody gonna write a book on how to parent. But I'm like, yo, y'all are dead smack in the middle of Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, this thing just came out of nowhere, and there's no real advice for like the perfect way to do it because it's so new. So I'm like, shoot, at least by the time our kids, Karl, it'll be something else then, right? But we'll at least have some, some idea how to deal with this social media. Like, my parents never had to deal with anything like this. So sorry, Josh, but yeah, what are you thinking? What are you and Heather talking about as it relates to, you know, Bear and her getting online?
Yeah, not only social media, she doesn't have her own cell phone yet. She doesn't have...
Which is pretty late too, right? Because I know kids now, they got cell phones at like 6, 7 years
no question.
old.
Most of her friends have cell phones. And we've made a decision as of today, and I say as of today because, you know, we talk about this every day, but we made a decision that we're going to kind of ease into technology. So she's about to get a smart watch, not an Apple Watch, but a watch that we can send her messages and she can send back, you know, 10 phrases, and it's a GPS tracker, and then we'll ease her into the phone, and we're going to hold off as long as we can because we can't ever get that back if we start her too early. And I'm not saying start too early like it's going to ruin her, but she's really not missing anything by not doing that. There's nothing that's causing her to get delayed in her social or academic progression by not doing social media right now. So, you know, we're just hoping we can put it off as long as we can. And that's what we've talked about. Heather and I have talked about doing. And I don't want her, you know, drinking from a garden hose when it comes to learning about the world. I want to be able to give it to her in doses. And social media doesn't give you that opportunity.
That's a great point. E, do you talk to your kids about social media? Do you have those?
Oh, absolutely. We've had that conversation for years. One of the things I've said, Josh, is first of all, contrary to popular belief, your public life does not have to be as public as everybody else's. And your private life doesn't have to be public at all. You know, I let my kids know that. There are some things that you do. If you're at a party, nobody needs to know you're at the party. You know, and I'm asking them all the time, Josh, this friend stuff. Who is your real friend on here anyway? And I said it last night at the Success Series. You got people who breaking up with their boyfriend. Why are you on social media breaking up with him? Call him. Text him. Why do I have to know y'all breaking up, Josh? Why do 5,000 people have to know that you going off on my man? Right. And then I've had people go off on people, Josh, and I've said to them, sweetheart or young man, I'm sorry. I can't hire you. I saw your little Facebook stuff. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. But one, I'm not trying to bring that spirit into my workplace. Number two, I have a brand, and that's not the brand right there. And so I don't care what you do. So I tell people, you got to be careful because everything you do in your private life, it doesn't need to be made public. So my children are very clear on, yes, have a social media. But I told my son, Josh, from day one, somebody's going to hire you one day. Your social media page should tell me what you do professionally. Here's free advertisement.
Right. Online resume.
It's an online resume. See, I should know that you're a general manager. I should know when Michigan State is going to the, I should know who Tum Tum is. I should see you with Coach Izzo. I should see you when you're on the road making certain decisions for the team. You picking up food, you're organizing certain, I should see that. Take your picture when you're at the job. You in the Big Ten tournament and you sitting next to Coach Izzo and you guys are discussing it. You with Coach OG and you guys are discussing. That's the stuff I should see. And perhaps if you want to show a little bit of your social life, and watch this, Josh, I've never policed my son. I've educated him so I don't have to police him. And there are too many people out here we're having to police.
Hey, remember we had to educate Bug when we was in New York. Bug was like, "Oh, don't worry about Snapchat and delete after 24 hours."
Oh, you couldn't tell him it didn't, Josh.
Yo, me and E was like, "Bug, let me have a conversation with you about how the world works." But I like literally at that time, this was a few years ago when Snapchat first came out, I think. But like me and E were trying to tell him like, "Bug," he like, "No, you can see if somebody screenshot you." I said, "Well, doggone it, what if somebody else pull out their phone and record another phone recording your Snapchat?" He was like, "Oh, I ain't think about it." I'm like, "Bruh, but like these kids, like they believe what they're told because they're growing up in the world." So they done told them Snapchat disappeared after 24 hours. So you got kids on there wilding thinking it'll never be shown again. And I'm like, where you think all of them snaps going? Like you think they not storing them in a vault somewhere? Like, so yeah, no, E, you're right. We did have to educate, Bug. I remember that. I mean, it's a constant education for you, but like it is something where you don't want to have to police it. But I'm policing flat out. I'm educating and policing. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm already knowing. Like, I can't even, because there's so many pressures. Like, I don't know if y'all seen it, but like me and my wife have watched like, the nightly news, like here in Atlanta and stuff like that. Do you know how much like the sexting thing and like, like people sending pictures, people getting expelled from school? You talking about middle school. It's crazy. So yeah, no, I'm gonna be doing some educating and some policing around here.
Yeah, it's playing for keeps now, man. It ain't the same mistakes you had. I read a thing last week. It was talking about the difference between growing up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and now, and it was hilarious. Like it just had some little quotes, but it was like, yo, we didn't share our emotions via emoticons. You know what I'm saying? We didn't share. We had friends that we actually played with outside. You know what I'm saying? It's just different now, man. The world playing for keeps. You can't. Yeah, you gotta police. See, I'm with you.
Yeah, I see. I love them little coffee shops that say we don't have Wi-Fi. Pretend it's 1985 and talk to each other.
Right. Yeah. They actually talk. Yeah.
You went outside and just burned the evidence.
Oh, true.
Now it lives forever. It's somewhere.
Right, and that's another thing too. You're right, and you think about stuff living forever. E, we talked about it like you ain't got to be, putting it on social media what you do everywhere, da. But like, yo, you could be at a party and somebody else got their social media, Facebook Live, streaming. You know what I'm saying? And you at that joint and doing something you ain't got no business doing. Now you done got caught up, even though you was smart enough not to put it on your own stuff. Somebody else got you on there. I mean, come on, man. I'm looking at these people now like, yo, we live in a world where you cannot do anything. Like I'm looking at Ezekiel Elliott. Matter of fact, Gazelle of the Week, Ezekiel Elliott. Like, what are you doing? Did y'all see that yesterday or?
I ain't see it.
So he's at a parade, and y'all had to look it up, but he's at a parade. And, he's like hanging out St. Patrick's Day parade in Dallas or whatever. There's a young lady standing next to him. He reaches over, grabs her strap of her, spaghetti strap of her tank top or whatever, and pulls it down and literally makes her flash the crowd. And she like, oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying? Pulls it back up. He just reaches over and basically just exposes, her or whatever. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? They caught it on camera. TMZ caught it. Now it's all over the world. It's a video of him just reaching over and, now you know what they saying now. And I guess the young lady was like, oh, it's not that big a deal, whatever. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, are you that dumb that you don't know everything is on camera? Not to mention, you the most popular guy in the room. For sure, all the cameras is on you. But I'm like, and I'm not saying do it. Obviously, don't ever do that, in life, period. But you are dumb enough, and I'm saying, come on, man, you like in your early 20s, you in the NFL, you done went through countless numbers of workshops with them telling you about this kind of stuff,
And
you,
in trouble, see?
right, and you are, you're right, and you just had a little assault thing, and I'm like, dog, and I'm not saying any of, that just makes you the world's worst person, like, obviously, I think he got off of the assault charge, whatever, but I'm saying, why would you want to bring that kind of negativity? Like, you're not even thinking, kid. So I'm like, I'm looking at that yesterday, like, yo, you just don't get it. But I'm saying these young people, they I don't know if they don't understand everything. You're under constant surveillance. Everything you do is under surveillance. So you need to act accordingly. And sometimes I think they just get lost in the sauce, which is why you worry about your kids. You at a party, you got peer pressure going on, you got all this stuff, and now all of a sudden you done did something a little loose, and it's all over the internet for the world to see.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, man. And then, my big thing, is there's certain things that you can't take back. And I think Karl used the term earlier, it's for keeps. And when we played marbles as a kid, some of them were for funsies and some were for keeps. But even in playing that game, I kind of think it spilled over to life because we understood that, there's some things that these guys are doing in my neighborhood, it's taking them to prison, see? And there are other things that other kids are doing, they're in the grave. Like, I remember kids skipping school, and being at the wrong place at the wrong time and being shot and killed. I remember people going to jail and they just happened to be with the wrong person at the wrong time. And I just think some of our kids are so naive. And it's another thing Mr. Ball said that I thought was, for real, man, I was just like, yep, that is so true. But somebody said to him, or the gentleman asked him, he said, why are you so aggressive in your son? Is so like nice and laid back.
Oh, they super laid back.
He said, because my son grew up, whatever it was, Gino Hills or something. He was like, they grew up in the suburbs. Yeah, so he was like, of course they chill. Of course they had a house, their own room, a playroom, what I'm saying, a swimming pool, whatever.
Right,
what I'm saying? Like they grew up in an environment where they didn't have to necessarily deal with some of the challenges I have to deal with. And that's what's scary to me, see. If social media was just like, okay, Josh, you're a 10-year-old girl. Like, Josh, if social media was just banned, all 10-year-olds are on there with other 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds, maybe so. If my daughter, if all 19-year-olds was on there with 19 and 20-year-olds, but Josh, you got my daughter 18, 19, you got pedophiles on there. You got people on there who are evil. So you're on with people from all over the world, Josh, and some people mean you well, some people don't mean you well. Like, yo, they're naive to believe that everybody that's on there is like them, Josh. And I think when we grew up, in terms of where we grew up, even though we didn't grow up in the same era, where we grew up, it was built in that, yo, everybody, like, you can't, like, you can't put your guard down, with everybody. You can't have a certain discussion around everybody. There's certain things you could do publicly, There's certain things you do privately. And I think with this generation, unfortunately, with social media, it's just gotten to the point where everything is public. There are very few things that are private now,
CJ, literally, as we were speaking, I'm just online, I'm looking, and they said, I just found an article that says you're on camera an average of 75 times a day. 75 times a day. There's like gas stations, traffic cameras, toll cameras, public transport, coffee shops, parking garages,
public,
lobbies, elevators in the office, restaurants, pharmacies, convenience stores, grocery stores, retail stores, the bank, the post office, the gym. 75 times a day on average.
It's crazy.
Insane.
And people do, man, it's crazy. People in the gym doing selfies. I'm like, you in the locker room, like, you doing a selfie, somebody behind you might be nude. Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Just not thinking. But yeah, no, man, I'm glad you guys, kind of are going through that, as parents, so Karl and I can then get the information from you. So let us know how that works out, fellas. We need the advice, you know what I'm saying? So real quick, just to put a bow in it, because we kind of went left from the confidence thing. Like, we talked about a few things that cause a lack of confidence. But just give us a few things, that we can give to the people out there who say, man, I do lack confidence in some area or another. Just start working on that. Like to begin, I know you're big on, getting the reps in and putting those mental reps in. What can somebody who's not confident or hasn't been confident start to do? And not a false confidence, right? You see those people who walk around kind of like Josh said, they're the biggest, brashest, loudest person in the world, but yet inside they're not remotely confident. But to become a confident person, what are some of the things they can start doing immediately?
Man, immediately, you can get around people who you admire that have confidence, and two things. One, observe, and I tell people this all the time. Look, guys, don't admire something about somebody. Not admire it and do it because you're going to get the outcomes that they give. Just case in point, I'm around Josh, and Josh, is a healthy tipper. I can't look at Josh and be like, wow, that's a pretty dope, quality that Josh has there. But then I'm still cheap, Josh. You know what I'm saying? It's like I see Josh and I admire that. Like, yo, Josh is generous. Then I have to get to a point where I say, you know what? In my own space, I can't be Josh, but in my own space, let me be generous too. So get around people who exude confidence, like C said, like real genuine confidence. Let me tell you, man, I was with Ink this week, man. Of course, we spoke together around Inky, and let me tell you, I think Inky is one of the best speakers, absolutely, but that's not what, I'm saying? Like, that's not my thing. Inky spoke to a group of young men who were from a substance abuse program, and I think that these gentlemen are, like almost in like a resident type situation. So these are not people who, are at home and they go to work and they go to a program. Like they are, at a point where they had to be at a resident and kind of get their life back in order. Inky walks up to them before he speaks and says, I just want to first and foremost say, what an honor and a privilege it is to have the opportunity to stand before a group of people who didn't give up on themselves and who didn't give up on life. And man, I'm just like, yo, I got to be around this kind of dude right here. I just want to be around him because you know what happens when you're around a person like that? They instantly make you feel better. They instantly pour into you. And when you start hanging around cocky people, arrogant people, what they will do, like C said, because they really don't have any confidence, they're going to try to drag you down. They're going to try to belittle you. They're going to try to, make fun of you. But when you're around confident people, they don't have a need to tear you down. They pull you up. So immediately get around people who are confident. Get around people who love themselves because they're going to love you. Because if you don't love yourself, then you can't love me. Look, operate in your gift. Go use your gift. You heard what Karl said, the videos, that whatever work he could do, his confidence began to grow because he was able to add value. He was able to contribute to a society that he valued, wanted to be around. Stop being a taker. Get in an environment and start using your gifts. And you like, okay, I don't know what to do. Just do something. Get a card. Start with a Walmart. Go to Walmart and start with a greeting card. And I don't have no money. Write something meaningful in that thing. Put a poem or a motivational presentation or something. So those are the two things. And then I would do a lot of reading. I don't know what it is about reading, but reading gives you an opportunity to do some self-reflection. And so I would suggest if you have an issue with self-confidence, maybe pick up a book, and not just an audio book, like a literal book. Sit down, kind of, flip those pages, old school way, and just start reading. I have read some books, some biographies of people, who changed their lives, who went through some very traumatic experiences and overcame. And I picked up principles from reading. So those would be the three things that, I would say, or the three things that, just immediately when you say the question you asked me, they just kind of come to my mind. They kind of pop out.
Yep, love it, man. I appreciate that. And, for real, we are confident in what we repeatedly do. So if you're not confident, man, just keep putting that work in. You know what I mean? Like if you're not confident in business, if you're not confident in anything, we said it, before and I kind of came up with that, as it relates to entrepreneurs and things like that. There's no such thing as a confident person. You know what I mean? Like he looks real confident when he's got the mic in his hand. maybe not so much if he was taking a statistics exam, right? Because he doesn't do that on a regular. He speaks every day. So we are confident in what we repeatedly do. Let's make a jump, man. Let's make this shift into a brand new segment. We're going to be debuting a new segment since we do have Josh with us every blue moon, man. We want to come up with a new segment, that allows entrepreneurs and business people alike to pick our resident Einstein, our business Einstein's brain, man. So this new segment is called Hatch's Huddle. All right, and it's brought to you by breatheuniversity.com. Make sure you go to breatheuniversity.com, check us out. We are smack dead in the middle of getting our bracket challenge underway. Of course, I'm going to win the bracket challenge. I thought about taking Michigan State all the way to the national championship, but my pride in terms of wanting to actually win it got in the way. So we got a bracket challenge coming up that's going to be incredible. But join Breathe University, man. Go to the website breatheuniversity.com, doing some amazing things, and so we want you guys to check that out. Hatch, are you ready, my friend, for your debut? This has got to be good now because we're replacing Ask ET with Hatch's Huddle. So you got to be able to lick these questions. We've solicited some questions from the people in the Breathe University community that sent it over to Josh. They were excited about him being on here. They know what a value he can be. But John in Illinois, first question, wants to know, do you think anyone can be a successful entrepreneur?
Oh, that's a question I get asked all the time. What does it take to become a successful entrepreneur? And the honest answer is, or who can become a successful entrepreneur? And the answer is, I don't know. I don't know. A short answer would be yes, but I don't know enough about everybody to give a blanket statement. What I do know is there's some traits that are needed to be a great entrepreneur. You have to have the ability to take risks. I've seen people that are extroverts and introverts be successful. I've seen people that are good leaders and actually bad leaders that have been able to find some success in entrepreneurs. But the one trait that I've seen in almost every entrepreneur, they can articulate a vision. So they can articulate a vision and then execute that vision. And in almost all cases, entrepreneurs that are successful, they are positive, they're enthusiastic, and they're tough.
I love it. Maria says, hey, Josh, I'm starting my catering business. What advice would you give to someone who is starting their very first business?
Yeah, if I have blanket advice for people that start their very first business, it will take 3 times as long to get going and 3 times as much capital as you think. And if you're okay with that, then get into business for yourself. If you're not, then don't.
You said it'll take 3 times as much capital as we think, to get started?
Yep, to get started. So if you think it's going to take $10, it'll take $30. And the reason why is because not that you need more money, because it takes longer than what you think. It's going to take longer, which in turn means you're not going to be making money as fast as you usually think. The business world, it can be tricky. And so what I see most people that start a business when it doesn't work out is they just don't allow themselves the time to actually see it through.
That's a good point. Kevin in Michigan, Josh, wants to know, would you say strategy or culture is most important when building your company?
So I think culture trumps strategy all the time, with a caveat. At the beginning, culture is almost everything. You get together with your team, you're excited, you're going to run through brick walls together, and you're going to get this company off the ground. So it doesn't really matter. You have to have a decent strategy, but hell or high water, you're going to go get this company off the ground. But at a certain point, when a company gets to a certain point and there is something to lose, there is enough money in place, and you want to grow and grow smart, strategy has to play a role. So I will say culture trumps strategy, but as the company gets to a certain size, you better put a good strategy around it.
No doubt. E, what do you think about that? I'm curious to hear what you think, because I know Josh's opinion on that, but you're a big culture guy. What do you think in terms of strategy and culture, in terms of, I guess, how we've built this company and what you see it as?
Man, what Josh said was phenomenal.
That's why it's Hatch's Huddle. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why it's Hatch's Huddle.
Right. Phenomenal, Josh. And I'm going to say, as somebody, who's in the huddle, you know, and getting an opportunity to think about some of these things that I'm just going to be real, Josh, we never thought about when we got started. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody told us strategy or culture. We were kind of making our move,
We went straight culture for a long time.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm talking about straight culture.
No, we did.
Oh, this was a mom and pops. You know what I'm saying? Macaroni on Saturdays only. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, but I will say this, Josh. I think what we did was genius, not knowing, because like you said, the strategy can change. But I think we survived because we created a culture. And in creating the culture, Josh, I think what happened for us early, we were able to determine our identity. You know what I'm saying, Josh? We kind of knew, oh, this is who we are. You know, just like if you look at, you know, like the Chicago Bulls with, you know, Phil Jackson, the identity was a triangle. You know, the run and shoot and some football, like we looked at our brand and was like, yo, this is our identity. There was a lot we saw about ourselves. It was like our DNA, Josh. And so I'm just saying, to your point, Josh, I think our strategy has changed from 3 months ago, Josh, when you came on board. And I think since you've been on board and you've been able to implement some of the business ideas to us and get us to understand business from a different mindset, the strategy has changed and will continue to change. But one of the things that's strong is our culture. So I do want to say to those of you out there, yeah, you might be able to make good money and you may be able to have some success, but I just don't think, Josh, you can have lasting success when you don't know your identity. And for me, identity emerges out of one's culture.
Great insight, E. Last one, let's see, I want to make it a good one. This one is pretty deep. Rick in Denver said, I started a company with my good friend. He's a great guy and never done anything wrong per se, but it does seem like he's lost his fire over the past year or so, and I think it may be time to leave him. How do you know when it's time to leave a business partner, and do you think there's any way to preserve our friendship if we do lose the business relationship? No. You know what I'm saying? I like to give you a sweet answer, Rick, like, oh, for sure, he gonna be pissed.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
He's out of the huddle. He's out of the huddle at that point.
Oh, he's out. I'm talking about all the way out the huddle.
So, you know, that's all, man, that's a long answer, and I won't be able to get to it all right here. I've been through the situation. I've watched the situation. You know, who you start with in business. Look, when you get around a table with your boys and you talk about business and really all you're doing is sitting around a room and selling each other on hopium, right? You're just sitting there just saying, this is what it should look like. The truth is, in business, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to be flexible. And in many regards, business partnerships are harder than a marriage. They're harder than a marriage. And so people think a business partnership is just something one day you wake up and go, this isn't working out. Yep, high five.
No grown man gifts in a business partnership, John. You know what I'm saying? Way harder.
So what you need to do is you need to sit down and have an honest conversation with each other. And usually the longer you go without having that conversation, if he is not engaged the way he needs to be, or you're not engaged the way you need to be, the harder that conversation is going to be. Maybe he just needs his fire lit a little bit. Maybe he has just lost it for a second. Life is a long time. Life is a bunch of mini lives. Maybe he's going through some stuff. But if he has just lost his fire and he's not as committed to the business, and you guys need to have a conversation, and there's usually two things that happen. You usually end up breaking up, and your business is going to take a hit for a minute because both of you aren't in the business and you have to unwind some things, or you shut down that business and you start again. And those are both hard situations. And so pick your business partners wisely at the start.
Yeah, no, that's crucial, man. It's like you said, you compared it to a marriage. Shoot, I don't know too many people who get divorced and they just best friends. You know what I'm saying? So if it is like a marriage, then it's gonna be tough, man. But you know, you're right, and you know, maybe if he's lost his fire, he's ready to move on anyway, right? Maybe he's looking for you to kind of give him an out, you know, and that'd be ideal. But who knows? What did I miss? Did I miss anything, Karl? E? Did I miss anything before we? Oh, E, you getting ready? E's leaving us tonight, man. He's going off to Dubai. I'm trying to figure. I still don't really understand how I didn't get invited on the trip to Dubai. Like I wanted to go to Dubai. But E, you're leaving in a couple hours for Dubai. What, 10 days? How you feeling about that, man? You
I got
miss
mixed
us or what?
emotions. Yeah, I got mixed emotions. Yeah, I do. We normally take a trip together. You know what I'm saying? We don't really do a lot of trips on the solo, but I didn't quarterback this one. You know what I'm saying? I didn't quarterback this one, so I don't have a whole lot to do with it. I will say this, man, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to unwind, to unplug for 10 days, see. It's gonna be a challenge. Look, so much so that this is what I did. I did not work out yesterday, and the day before, my knee was, I think that treadmill, got to me a little bit.
Oh.
But my knee, my right knee was just a little ginger. My right knee had put, it wasn't tender, it was ginger. And what's his name? Willie Moe Jr. said, ice her up all day. And so she felt good yesterday, but I said, you know what? Like, just chill, go in chill mode. Like, just get started. You know, I got some Uno cards, you know, went got a couple of snacks, you know, got a couple of, little videos, man, and just like, you know what, just chill out, man. So I'm being real. I don't know that if I've ever done, just 10-day vacation where we didn't have speaking on the
come
beginning
back
or the
looking
end.
like a little roly-poly, you know.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough.
I said we're gonna see E in 6 days.
Right, he might cut that
Right.
short.
Right, cut that junk in
couldn't hold
half.
out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Come back looking like a little Pillsbury Doughboy. We know you just been
It's
over in
gonna be
Dubai
tough.
eating snacks and not working out.
I'm talking about it's going, and you know my girl, man, she be DB. It ain't fair, see. I promise you it ain't fair, see. Let's come up with it ain't fair segment, right?
It ain't fair. I'm in on this. I got a whole laundry list.
Man,
My
so
girl's gonna be
and I ain't
pissed.
mad at D. I ain't mad at D. D more on the, the diet part. Like, let's, diet. I'm not into dieting, bro. That's just not my strength. So what I try to do is just say, Josh, what I'm gonna do is, like, we're gonna count the calories and we're gonna work them off. You know what I'm saying? That's just my thing. Like, if it's 2,000 calories, I'm gonna eat 2,000 calories and we're gonna make it happen. So, that means, Josh, that it's a lifestyle for me. So I do work out in the morning. I got a little 30-minute thing I do in the afternoon when she get home. And then at night, I got a little 20, 30-minute boy, right? And so D, like, the other day, it's an obsession. You work out too much. I'm like, you don't work out at all. You know what I'm saying? You don't work out at all.
Shots
so I'm like,
fired.
I'm like, what am I supposed to do? You know what I'm saying? So, see how it goes.
Did you just say your wife was obsessed with not working out?
No, I didn't say that.
Hey,
I
he got a
said,
10-day trip.
she said that I was obsessed. I never said nothing about what she does or doesn't do.
Oh, okay.
I just said
okay.
she likes to diet.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm not into that. She like, let's not eat this and let's not eat that. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I can't do that
I'd
for the
rather
rest
eat
of my
an
life.
ice cream sandwich and get on the treadmill.
Man, I promise. So what I had to do, see, of late is for real. I've had to try to get it in the morning when she at work. I kind of like back it off or whatever. So, but here's the trick. See, we together now, 24 hours, 10 days. So, you know what I'm saying? So, see, I'm like, yo, where am I going to
find that time?
where am I going to find the time? So, but I'm going to be strategic.
Lord.
Yeah, I'm going to be strategic.
Did we say why you're going
to
to Dubai? Can we officially say that or no?
Oh, yeah, you can officially say it. Yeah, that's it.
Did we? I mean, I don't want to, we talk so much on here, but Didi turned in her letter of resignation and is officially done with work. She retired, and E has been waiting on this moment pretty much the last 15 years, and I guess now it's done, and so he's taking her to Dubai. I still feel like, I was an instrumental part of helping this process and don't understand quite why I'm not on the trip.
I'm gonna work on him while you go.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna see some counseling when you're
But
gone.
shout out to
no
Karl.
problem.
Hey, man, let me say this, and this is all this is way off, but I don't know if you were done, E, but I gotta say this. Lion of the
I'll
week.
come back.
Ezekiel Elliott gets Gazelle of the week, but Karl and his family get Lion of the week because Avery had an ear infection, right? And we went to the doctor, and I told you she been fuzzy. Like, she still ain't been right since we took her in last time. So we went back, and we like, all right, don't tell her she ain't got nothing. She pulling on her ears, whatever. So the doctor yesterday was like, yep, she got an ear infection. So Karl hit me on the way to the doctor's office, was like, hey, if it's an ear infection, let me know. Don't take any antibiotics. So I'm like, all right, cool. So of course they said, yep, it's an ear infection. So Karl said, let me get you the recipe or whatever. So he told me, get some sesame seed oil and some garlic. I'm like, all right, cool. Karl, I'm not sure what this little Bayesian recipe is, but I'm willing to, you know what I'm saying? My baby girl in pain, whatever. He like, I'm telling you. So Candace FaceTimed Tamisha. Tamisha walked her through the little recipe. We got the eardropper out. And Karl, can you tell him the recipe real quick? What is it? It's
So
you heat
basically, yeah, you just heating the garlic so you just kind of pound the garlic a little bit. You're not like crushing it up, but just pound it a little bit, and you're heating the garlic in the sesame seed oil pretty much until it's burnt, literally until it's burnt. So you're just trying to basically get all them enzymes and stuff out of there. And garlic itself has some strong antibiotic properties. So it's getting into that oil. So you just cook it for a little bit. I'm talking about how long, see? It's a couple of minutes, right? It wasn't that long.
No, not long at all. And let me tell you something. I waited for it to cool down or whatever. Candace took the dropper. I kind of held Avery on her side, and we put 2 drops in each ear. And I told Karl, I was like, yo, this is like magic. I mean, she went from like crying, red, you could tell she was lethargic, to we put it in, I think it was about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And she did not pull or touch on her ears or fuss one time the rest of the doggone night. And she slept through the night. I was like, yo, Karl and Tamisha, I text Karl, I was like, yo, y'all need to bottle this up and sell it. And Karl was like, I ain't trying to get killed by the pharmaceutical companies. Come up missing. You know what I'm saying? Because the pharmaceutical companies that got put out of business because they little antibiotics is not necessary. But yeah, no, shout out to y'all, man, because Avery, I'm talking about, she was golden. So, I mean, we took her to school today, everything. So it was a peaceful night in the Quinney household, thanks to the Phillips family. So I appreciate that.
So see, I just wanted to say for real, because you brought it up, and I just want to make sure, because, people hear or see, Josh, sometimes you say stuff, they hear you, but they don't hear you, and I just want to make sure that I'm clear. This was perfect timing, for my wife. And, she said, I've been wanting this for 15 years. Absolutely, but this is what's important. Allowing my wife to do what she felt she was called in, and not being selfish, and like, yo, why don't you quit? You need to quit, But, really giving her that time to leave on her terms and not making her feel guilty. There are those of you who you're dealing with your spouse or your children. Like, look, I know that you think you know what's best for others, and you might know. But one of the things you cannot do when one is making a transition, you can't guilt people, into transition. You can't bully people into transition. You can't take people hostage into transition. You really do have to let people do it on their terms, or else they'll do it under those circumstances, but it won't flow freely. You guys, it won't be any synergy. You won't be on one accord. So understand, Dee Dee loves her job, and all the fellas can contest. Dee Dee didn't want to quit. You know what I'm saying? I think for Dee Dee it was more, it's time. As much as I've been a blessing to this company and to the people that I serve, it's time for me to support my husband in this and this company. Because just quite frankly, for those of you who've been to the I Do Now, What Do I Do, the conference, it was so special because Candace was there, Tamisha was there, Heather was there, Dee Dee was there. And look, Dee Dee hates getting on the mic, but when she gets on the mic, people are transformed, And so Dee Dee was like, hey, it's time. My husband needs me, this company needs me, and she probably wanted to do it in December or January. It took her forever. And then much respect to her supervisor, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but much respect to her supervisor, who, and for all those supervisors out there listening to me, Dee Dee is one, probably, if you were a supervisor, you value a Dee Dee like I value a Karl. You know what I'm saying? Karl is a worker. Dee Dee is a worker. Like Dee Dee ain't just coming up with ideas with you as a supervisor. She is executing on your ideas. You give Didi something to do, Didi is getting it done. But much respect to her supervisor, because when Didi came to her and it hurt Didi, like, come on, Karl, how many edits did Didi go through before we thought she had turned it in? Come to find out, Didi hadn't even turned the doggone thing in. You know, so mad respect.
He was like, yo, it's done. Wrap it up. Done deal. We seen that letter sitting there 2 months later. He was like, what in the world?
Done, wrap it up. But her supervisor said to her, I knew this moment was coming and you should have done it a long, long time ago. You know, so shout out to her supervisor for not making her feel, you know, some type of way, because Didi would have left but felt like I abandoned her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I left her, you know what I'm saying? Her supervisor said, yo, for real, you should have done this a long time ago. You know, so salute. And we have some people, see, that don't celebrate people, you know, that won't free people up, let people go. So I'm just saying to those of you out there, man, you have a spouse and you feel like you have an opportunity of a lifetime, and why your spouse just can't get it, what's on their mind, what are they thinking about, they tearing up your life. No, relax. If you sweet and the opportunity is good as you say it is, it's gonna be there. And like C said, for real, him and Karl, they did put us in a position where we just didn't have one run. We turned this into a dynasty. So when she did decide to leave, the brand is probably in a much better place for her now than it was before. So instead of you getting on your spouse or your wife or your husband about quitting a job and coming on board, why don't you work on the brand and just make sure whenever they get there, whenever they come, if it's 6 months, a year, 4 years, that when they do make that transition, they're coming into something healthy, wholesome, right, and next level.
I feel you, Ian. I'm nostalgic and all that with you, but player, the next time I get Lion of the Week, though, don't just cut me off like that. I just felt like I wanted to sit in that a little longer, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got Lion of the Week.
Lion of the
He
Week.
just cut it off. See,
Bro,
I'm
like,
know
look,
Karl was
I want
living
my
my
full
life like that.
roar.
Yeah.
I need my
I'm saying
full
he just took
roar.
the whole thing.
No
So, no,
doubt.
that's all we good.
That's cute and all. Your wife finally retired, but the Phillips family was getting their praise. Oh, no doubt. Man,
Feel me?
no doubt, Karl. Hey, I didn't know where Karl was going, but that was funny. Real quick, man, a couple housekeeping notes. Denver, April 1st. Thank God I'm married. I do now. What do I do? The conference. We're coming to Denver, Colorado. Fly in. I don't care where you at, just come, man. It's off the chain. Like I said, some of the funnest, conferences we've had, just phenomenal, with the wives being there, just the learning and the growth and, the funny stories and, just the entire thing. So make sure you're there. Let's see. After that, what else we got? April 21st and 22nd, the P7 Dominate. We are training speakers for the first time ever. Come spend the weekend with us and learn how to better communicate to your audience, learn how to become a better public speaker, trainer, all of those things. P7D, Atlanta, Georgia, April 21st and 22nd.
At P7Dominate.com for more information. P7Dominate.com.
Yep, so come check us out there. It's phenomenal. We got, quite a few people registered, and it's going to be life-changing as always. And then we just added Philadelphia for the Stay Ready. So all the fellas, Inky, Jeremy, Jers, Willie Moe Jr. hosting just a star-studded lineup. We're coming to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, May 21st. Jump online now. Get your tickets. That's going to be incredible, man. I'm telling y'all, I don't even want to tell y'all what we had because I don't want to blow it, but I mean, it was incredible, the energy that was in the room. I'm still getting text messages from all over, everybody telling me, not only how great the messages were, but how great the environment and the show was. We had a blast in that thing. So looking forward to you guys coming out, joining us. P7Dominate.com for P7D. The rest of those you can find at etinspires.com/events. Also, Toby, our first artist, ETA Records, he dropped his mixtape, which you can find on ET Inspires as well right now, /albums, I believe. It's a free download, just an incredible project that he put together. So proud of him for getting that out. Go check that out as well. And then I think
in the app as well. See, they can check it out in the app as well.
App. Shame on you if you haven't downloaded the app yet. Man, go to the App Store, download it. Just type in Eric Thomas, you'll see it. We got the app on there, all kind of exclusive audios. You can get alerts from us letting you know when we'll be in town, what we got going on, how you can be first to know about what we have going on. And then also, we're like 40 reviews shy of 1,000, guys. Please go on iTunes, man. Leave us a review. Let us know how you like the podcast, man. We do this for you guys every week. And all we ask is that you go write us a review and let us know how you like it. Josh, appreciate you joining us, man. It was a blessing having you on here. Every time you come on, man, you shed so much light for us, and the nuggets are invaluable, so thank you. E, give us a nugget of the day so I can get busy today. Also, hold on real quick, you did say that you would be on next week. You said you vowed not to miss an episode of the podcast. So next time y'all hear from E, he will be in Dubai at some ridiculously 5,000 story hotel room, penthouse suite overlooking the ocean, while me and Karl in our basements doing the podcast. But he will be on the podcast next week.
No question though. Yeah, hey, no question though. We all here. I'm gonna have to talk to him offline, y'all. Let me give y'all the nugget of the day. Hey, for real, guys. Look, be phenomenal. All right, look, be phenomenal. I'm not gonna say the other part. Look, be phenomenal, because when you're phenomenal, I've been hearing a lot of people give me a lot of excuses. A lot of people talking about barriers. A lot of people, talking about, certain external circumstances that put them in a situation where they're not able to have or be or do what they want to be or do. And I just want to say, stop it. Look, stop it. Be phenomenal. The air is different up here. For real. Look, no disrespect. Be phenomenal. The air is different up here. Be phenomenal. The treatment is different up here. Be phenomenal. The payment is different up here, right? For real. Stop being average. All these excuses, talking all of this, I don't want to hear it. It's not going to change anything. Be phenomenal. Again, hear me and hear me well. The air is different up here. Be phenomenal. The treatment is different up here. Listen to me. Be phenomenal. You hear me? Be phenomenal. Because if you're not phenomenal, you're going to be wishing and wanting and whining and complaining. So be phenomenal so you don't have to worry about being forgotten. So it's your boy. Greatness is in you. I'm not asking you to be phenomenal, because I don't believe you could do it or I'm trying to sound cute. No, you have what it takes. If you stop making all those excuses, if you stop putting energy into all the negativity, you have what it takes to be phenomenal. So do it. Do it now. Listen to me. Do it now. Fix whatever needs to be fixed. Be phenomenal, because the air, the lifestyle, the opportunities, the privilege is different. It is different when you're phenomenal versus when you're average.
Appreciate that nugget of the day. E, safe travels to you and Didi, man. Love you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all for listening, man. Go write us that review. We'll see you next week live from Dubai.
I want you to focus on here right now. Don't you worry about when you get home. You concentrate on this opportunity. You don't worry about tomorrow. You concentrate on this opportunity with all your might, with all your soul.